Hey guys, welcome to my little training class I'd like to give today. After doing the kickoff, I was talking to a couple people I said that are from Portland and were from Portland, and asked if I do training classes here in Portland still. And I said, yeah, I do. And they said, could we do like Tony and Dan, how they do their messages out to you guys, if I mind doing a training class for you guys once in a while. So today, after going through the kickoff, we had the Brian Blair get up and do the #1 speech. And in there he started talking about, hey, the only way to really become $1 million writer was to run a lot of leads. And I'm not going to argue that that's not part of the sales process, but what I really talked to you guys about today is what the difference between being an amateur and a professional is. An amateur kind of goes up there, like I love going to softball leagues. If you've ever been in one of those things, the guy gets up there, has a lot of beer, and goes up and hits some balls. He doesn't care about his stats or anything like that. He's just going out there to have a great time. That's your softball player. A Major League Baseball player, though, he's a little bit different. He works out, takes care of things, knows his stats. And that's what we're going to talk about today, is about knowing your stats. So up here I have a sales model, your stats, and what we're really talking about is being a professional salesperson. When someone asks, hey, what is your title here in the company? Now, I was CEO, but what I used to tell people all the time, because it's true, is I'm a professional salesperson. I can sell anybody, anywhere, anything, anytime. And being able to do that is to be able to brag about your stats. So I'm going to walk you through what our sales model actually is here. The first thing in your sales model, what we're really trying to do, because this is all you guys care about anyways, is how do I get paid and make as much money as I possibly can. So you notice we're going to talk about these stats: number of leads, pitch rate, average sale, closing, retention of those sales, and here's the big one that you guys are all going to like: commissions, bonus if you hit it, what your pay is, DPL, and then down here is an interesting stat that we're going to talk about, is that how much do I get paid per every lead that I run, which is an interesting way to look at this. So let's get started with the first part of our sales model, if I can, which is the number of leads. And each one of these topics, by the way, are individual training classes or things that you're going to want to master to become a professional. So our first one, when I start talking about the number of leads, these are several training classes that need to take place. But the average salesperson here is going to get somewhere between 20 and 25 leads. Now I'm going to pick the number 20 simply because when I get down here and do regular math, it's hard for me unless I pull out a calculator. But if you're running 20 leads, that's after cancels and all that good jazz, that's your first stat that you want to have. Now I will tell you there's some things that you want to do to increase your opportunity. 20 opportunities means you have to when we start talking about closing, if you're a 25% closer, it means you're going to have 5 sales. The number of opportunities you have every single day is really critical to you. So you're always looking for the extra opportunities. So here's some other training classes you may ask your general manager to do. How to get self-gens, how to get follow-ups, how do I promote myself on Facebook, any one of those things to increase the number of opportunities. So the first thing you want to track, just like that baseball player tracks his at-bats. How many times do I get to go at-bat to try to hit the ball? That's literally your first stat. So if I got up there 20 times, how many times did I hit the ball? That's your closing percentage. So you want to get as many at-bats as you possibly can. For those of you who are not baseball fans, your best baseball players are at the top of the lineup. Those are the guys who hit the most at-bats. Your leadoff hitter is guaranteed to have more at-bats than anybody else. He's supposed to get on base. Well, that's what you want to keep in mind when it comes to that stat. So we'll be putting together more training class on that later, but that's the first stat. So here we're talking about 20%. Our second stat is our pitch rate. And here at the company, pitch rate you should be striving to hit is above 70%. So if I put down the number 70 here, that means I'm only pitching 14 out of those 20 leads. Now, I'm going to give you my favorite statement when it comes to your pitch rate. If you can't open, you can't close. Your closing percentage is based off of the number of leads issued. So you say, well, I think in baseball again, I'm going to be talking about baseball as you can tell. Well, if I walked, I didn't get a chance because the pitcher walked me. Does that count as an at-bat? Yes, it does. So I didn't get a chance to swing the bat. That's a different stat, but your at-bat still counts. So you need to try to get in as many houses and talk to as many people as you possibly can. Your pitch rate is absolutely critical. So some different things to remember about pitch rate. And here are again several different training classes if you're struggling with this stat. All stats must be tracked in order to be considered a professional. So if you're struggling with this, first thing you want to take a look at is what kind of leads do I know how to pitch? Meaning, canvassing leads pitch differently than home advisor leads, than do HIL. What am I doing to get in there? Do I know how to build rapport? Am I smiling? What am I looking to do? Am I conscious of time frame? The other thing that I've heard lots of sales reps talk about is I don't like to pitch one leg. So you want to find a way to get as many at-bats in there as you possibly can. If you're not swinging, so to speak, you can't get there. But the other big thing about pitch rate that I'd like to make sure you guys, if you have not done this yet, flip on my favorite TV show, which is QVC. When it comes to pitch rate, your pitch rate needs to be not just pitched, but needs to be dynamic. You want that customer to go, I really want this, I need it, and that really determines your pitch rate. If people are bored listening to you, like some of you guys might be in this video right now, then they're not going to be paying attention whatsoever, and your pitch rate drops. The minute you start to bore people is the minute they go. So some other things to train on here would be voice inflection, how you're carrying yourself. Are you excited? One of my guys I used to train a long time ago was a sales rep for me. Every time before we went to an appointment, had to have 2 Red Bulls. He was incredibly excited by the time we got to that house. So much so that I couldn't keep up with him. So now you have your number of leads, your pitch rate, and I got these a little bit out of order, but we're going to go down to closing percentage because I'm so smart. Your closing percentage should be in our industry a minimum of 20%. Your top closers will be 40%. Those are usually your $1 million writers. But this now determines, out of 20 leads, if I'm closing 20%, I have 4 sales. Yay me! Now let's talk about some closing training classes that you're going to want to have. When it comes to your pitch rate, that's pretty self-explanatory about some of the training classes you want to have. Here, if you cannot do a closing sequence and know where you're going to go, you have a massive problem. When I'm talking about a massive problem, in our industry, in all industries for sales, if you can't close, you're done. This is the stat that matters the most. Meaning, this is the pride one. What I found interesting about our #1 speech, not that he did anything wrong, by the way, I really appreciate Mr. Blair, he didn't get up there and say, I am a closer, because really, that's what he was. Anyone who's in the $1 million writer club, think about what they did. Our average contract here is $15,000. So how many sales did he have in order to hit $1 million? He had a tremendous amount of sales to get there. So that's what he could have said is, I can close anybody, anywhere, any price, anything. So here we have 4 sales. So now we have our first 3 stats. So if I'm again that baseball player, I had my 20 at-bats, I got 4 hits. Now I don't know if those hits are singles, doubles, home runs, triples. I just know that I have 4 sales here. Does everyone follow me so far? That means I'm closing at 20%. Now if I close and I move that up to 40%, that's going to be now 8 sales. So it's pretty simple math. This is how you know if you hit a home run or not. And this is where I started listening to the $1 million writers, and each one of your $1 million writers in the company have different stats. Some of them pitch really high, some of them close very high, some of them pitch very low, but they close very high. But this one is how you can tell if it's a single, double, or home run. And we're going to talk about average sale here for a second. Average sale is critical, and I find that most salespeople are not following their average sale at all. They're just happy to get a sale. Where, hey, I'm happy to get a sale too. Seems how your commission percentage is a general rule, starts off at 10. If you sell a $10,000 job, you're making $1,000. Sell a $20,000 job, you're making $2,000. Sell a $30,000, I think you guys know where I'm going with this. So do I want my average sale to be $10,000? Or do I want it to be that $20,000? Well, at $10,000 times 4 sales, my NIS is going to be $40,000. Means my month, I'm going to make $4,000 in commissions. That is not anything that if I'm you, I'd be very excited about collecting. So you want this number to be as high as it possibly can, just like all of your stats. So when we start talking about all of your stats, average sale combined with closing percentage and number of leads, there's not one stat that's more important necessarily than all, but this one's going to determine your level of income. So now let's move our average sale up to $20,000. If I move my average sale up to $20,000, now I get to move my NIS, assuming perfect retention, is $80,000, and I make $8,000. You see where the average sale starts to play really fast. Now that's assuming perfect retention, which we haven't talked about yet. No one's going to have necessarily perfect retention, although you can do a lot of things to improve it. So let's talk about some training classes to get that average sale a little bit higher for you guys. And because if you're going to do $1 million in business, you can literally go, I'm going to do $1 million divided by 20,000 and come up with how many sales you need to have for the year, divide it by 12, and come up for the month. Now, again, the whole company runs off of stats. You should be running yourself off of stats because you are a professional, right? So a professional, if you're running your own company, or as a baseball player, in my analogy here, knows exactly where they're at so they can get paid. So let's move this back up to where we want it to be for our example here. The company's average, by the way, right now is $15,000. So let's talk about some training classes you can do to get a $15,000 average sale. First one is to learn multiple products. Multiple products are going to help you out quite a bit. So if I can sell windows, why not siding? If I can sell siding, why not a roof? If I can sell a roof, why not a bath? So that's one of the most critical things that you can do. But the second is starting to sell that designer upscale package. So if I'm a bath person, from what I understand, which I've never sold a bath before, it goes something luxurious, then it goes this, then it goes casual. Or if you're a roofing guy, maybe, or lady, maybe you're doing it this way. Designer shingle with gutters, designer shingle without gutters, and then American Harvest. So if you're trying to get a $15,000 average sale, my first shot might be $25,000, option B might be $20,000, and option C might be $15,000. You always want to give your customer the option to spend as much as they possibly can. Let me say that again. Why would you want to determine, and this happens a lot in sales, where someone will look at a customer and go, looks like you can only afford $5,000. Looks like you can only afford a payment of $300 or $200. You don't have the right to do that, so you want to make sure that you're giving your customer the option to spend as much money as they can. One of my favorite salespeople of all time, his name is Jordan Richmond. He's now the general manager of Colorado. He used to go out there and sell $100,000 jobs all the time. The only way to sell a $100,000 job is to let the customer have the choice to buy the $100,000 job. So his looked like this: $100,000, $80,000, or $75,000. This is a critical training class for you to know how to do product drops and what you want to put out there. But average sale, that's one of the ways to do that. Second thing I find that's always interesting for people who are struggling with average sale, you have to know financing inside and out. Financing is critical because on this, you should be able to tell me right now what the two payments are going to be for this, two payments are going to be for that, and this. The more you know financing, because all of our customers, not all, 66% of our customers, as a general rule, are going to finance. So the more you understand financing, the more you can fit in here. So one of the things I like to do when I was a salesperson, which I was for over 2 years without being a manager, I always went, the first thing I asked my customers, how much do you want to have for a monthly payment? And they'd say something like 100, I'd say, sweet, so 200. The more I could fit in that payment, the more I want to fit in that payment. Your job is to try to maximize your sale as best you possibly can. So I think we got, so there's some other little training classes that you could do with this, but knowing your products, how it's set up that way, and financing becomes critical on that stat. All right, our next stat that we want to do, so here in our scenario right now, we got 20% close times 15,000, so we'd be looking at $60,000 in sales. Retention becomes the next big one. Retention, typically in the company, we run, the model that we're supposed to do is a 70% retention. But let me explain the 70% retention if I can. That's 15% cancel, 15% financing reject. So you should be able to have, depending on the quality of your customer, a lot higher retention as long as you know what's going on with it. And most of my sales guys, salespeople, don't track any of these stats, much less that one. So if you're running a 50% retention, you know something is off. Right? So you would want to track that separately. But if I put this at 70%, and man, I don't do math very well, but I think that's $42,000 in the volume. That means I made $4,200 for the month. That means if I annualize that out for a year, I'm going to be making right around $50,000. That's not a bad income, but the reason why you really want to know the sales model as a professional, what do you want to have for income? That's why you're filling all these numbers. I firmly believe if you're a salesperson in this company, you should be making $100,000. So any model I put up here, I wanted to show me making $100,000. So I'm not happy with these numbers already. So I now know my commission is $4,200, and my bonus is nothing because I didn't do very well, and that's going to be my pay. I'm not really happy with that. My DPL is the number of leads divided into the NIS. And the reason why that's important is for the opportunity. All your managers issue leads by DPL. So the higher your DPL is, the more leads you're going to get as a general rule. That's why I put that stat on there, so you know why your managers are tracking it. Because what they're doing is taking all these stats and giving it down to the stat that matters to them. And it matters to the company too, because this is how we manage all salespeople and our sales forces by DPL. But look, I don't think we're very happy about this, so let's fix it around. What stat would you like to change first? Well, let's first change the number of leads. We're going to go with 25 leads, because we're a good salesperson. Now we're going to change this, we'll leave the sales by itself. We're at that, the average sale. But now we're going to close at 25%. Now here's where we're going to test our math here real quick, Kiefer. 25% of 25. Holy cow, I can't do that. Let's see, 4 times 1 times 1. What do you got, Kiefer? 25% of 25.
6.25.
6.25. So we're going to just round that down to 6. Now we have 6 sales. So 6 and like my average sale is still 15,000. 6 times 15,000, I can now have $90,000 in sales. If I'm still keeping my 0.70 retention, 100,000 would be 70. So can you do that for me too, Kiefer? 90,000 times 0.70.
Yes. Times 0.70.
Mm-hmm.
63,000.
63,000. So now my income is moved up to, if I'm selling everything where I'm supposed to, $6,300. But notice I'm still not hitting bonus. This is why I'm saying you really want to watch these stats, because which one of these stats do you want to be making $8,000 a minimum? So is it my closing rate? Is it my retention? Remember I told you about retention, you can have 15% up or down. It doesn't matter how you play with these numbers. But the other thing that we're talking about when we talk about close, this is why you want to know your stats really well. Self-gens, what do they close at? Self-gens generally close at like an 80% clip. Referrals close at a 50% clip. So as you're looking at your stats and your opportunities, this becomes very fun to play with these deals. But this one always cracks me up when sales guys are writing leads and someone says, hey, I have an extra lead for you. The MOD calls you up and says, you're 6 o'clock, no pitch, I have a 7. You go, nah, I'd rather go home. You just took yourself out of one of those opportunities, which changes all of your stats. So if I'm you, the professional salesperson, because you say, well, how do I get this to go higher? Well, move this to 30, change your retention up to 0.85 where it should be, because why should anyone be canceling on you? So all of these stats, the more you move them, they determine your level of income. The reason why I wanted to show you guys all this today is if you're not tracking any of these stats, you should be able to sit down with your manager at any given time and say, boy, my close rate right now is blank. I need help closing. Because again, most of our top producers close at over a 40% clip. So if you're closing at 40%, you want to have some fun with this one, Kiefer?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, because you have to have your pen here. 40% close on 25 leads.
40 divided by 25?
40 times 25.
Times 25?
Well, I got 25 leads, 40% of 25.
So 1,000.
Huh?
40 times 25 is 1,000.
Ooh, I don't think we got right, but I think we got 10.
40 times 0.25?
Yeah, it's 25 leads, 40% of 25 leads, so 50% would be 12. So I think you're right, I think it's 10.
Okay.
So
I just
10.
That's weird.
Now I got 150,000. 150,000 times 0.70.
That would be 105,000.
Now we're making some real money.
Yeah.
$105,000. My commissions now went to 10,500. And now I have this wonderful thing called bonus, which I believe is 1 or 2%. Well, let's have fun and say it's 1%. I think it's 2, but it's going to be somewhere between $1,000 and $2,000, depending if I have self-gen or not, because these things also don't include self-gens in our model here currently. So now you're making somewhere between $11,000 and $12,000 just by moving that one number up to 40. Okay, well I can't give 40%. 40% is too much. Okay, so we'll lower this one down to 30. Kiefer, you having fun yet?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so what's 30 times 30% of 25?
6.25, right?
So we'll put that back down to 6.25. We're going to go 6.
Yes.
But let's make our average sale where I really want it to be. By the way, in the year 2000, In 17, our average roofing sale was 21,000. So 20,000 is not uncommon. I just put the number 15 up there. So now 6 times 20,000, I'm 120,000 times my. I really don't like that retention being so low. So let's go 0.85. Let's see. The only thing that went wrong for me this month is those stupid financing rejects. I couldn't help the people that didn't have money, but I kept everything else at 0.85. Keeper. What is 120 times 0.85?
102?
102,000. So now I'm still making my 10,200. Here's my point for all of you guys that are out there. It's not that there's not just one way to make a lot of money in sales. You have to know your stats, which stat you're moving to create your income. So you can move this anywhere around. So so we just moved that to 0.5. Oh, by the way, don't forget we still got the bonus program that we're getting down here for being over 100,000. So it's really fun for me because here we talked about having a pitch rate, and I didn't adjust this as I was moving my stats around. I always got really disturbed when I went and did a no pitch. It would really make me irritated. So what I like to do is here's my commission, divided by the number of leads that I ran, and that's really how much I'm getting paid per lead. So if I get 25 divided by 10,000, I know it's a big number.
10,000. I did it backwards.
That's right, I did too. Thank goodness I got Kiefer, by the way, who's doubling his van away here.
400.
So I'm making $400 every time I get in my car. That's an important stat for you mentally as a salesperson. So when you're driving around there going, why am I doing this? Every time I get in my car, if I have this month, I made $400 per at bat. For every at bat that I had that I got received, every lead, I made $400 that month. This is why sales is a very fun job, as long as you understand how the stats work. So my challenge to you guys, I know we're only in January, is I would like every salesperson to be tracking their stats to become the professional so they can tell me how they made their $100,000 a year income and how they made their $1 million in sales when they're collecting their plaque at the end of the year. Because it's not just about running as many leads as you can. It's about running as few for some people. They just want to be more effective at it. Again, like Keith and I were moving that to 40%. You don't have to run as many leads as the guy who had said, I have to run 50 leads because I can't close anybody. And that's what's really fun about sales. You can be sitting right now next to somebody in the room who has to run a whole bunch of leads and hardly closes anything. And you can sit next to somebody else in the room who runs 10 leads and does $100,000 in NIS every single month because his close rate is so high and his retention is so high. So you need to know what makes you unique, number one. Number two is any one of these stats that are off for you. You say, I want to be a better closer. Sit down with your division manager, your general manager, and learn how to close. They'll teach you. My pitch rate's off. And I gave you some of these training classes that you should attend. So each week I plan on, from this point forward, is trying to dig a little bit deeper into one of these categories for you guys and have it played for you on Friday if you want to listen to it. If you don't, you just do what Keeper's going to do, hit delete. So that way we can improve your income as this year progresses. But this, everybody, is how you should be tracking your numbers to figure out if you're headed for that $100,000 income. What you don't want to do is try to guess, am I going to make money in sales or not? Here is your sales model. Thank you for listening. I hope you guys have a great week out there in sales, and I hope you enjoy the promos that Dan and Tony are going to do. And by the way, please don't text or email them and tell them that they're better at this than I am, and they're more funny and all that good jazz. That's Kiefer giving them makeup is what that is. Thanks for your time.